G'day, Chief. Welcome to the Inner Chief podcast and episode 335.
I am your host, Greg Layton, founder of Chiefmaker and the Council of Chiefs. And I believe there is a great chief in all of us. And that through listening to the stories, strategies, and techniques of great CEOs, each of you can find and leave your own legacy through your work. The Inner Chief podcast is where you will learn how to think and make moves like a CEO. For over a decade, I've helped CEOs and senior executives around the world boldly lead change, inspire their people, and leave a legacy. So every 2 weeks, I'll bring a deep diving interview with one of these CEOs or another one of a mid to large organization so you can find your own path to greatness as an executive.
Now, Minisode today is how to help technical people shift to strategic level roles. Chief, this is right in our hitting zone. And in fact, the very reason we started Chiefmaker. We started it because we found so many great leaders who were just awesome technically. As they rose up through the ranks, they just started to hit this incredible wall. They became overwhelmed. They became stressed. They lacked influence. They couldn't get results. And Chief, all of it is completely explainable. Let me go through it in a bit of detail. As you go through your career, as your people go through their career, they start out in very simple, almost short time span kind of roles. Do this particular job. Sales, ops, engineering, finance, law, coding. Simple job, which it's likely they've had 3 to 4 years of training. So they have been in depth at this simple kind of job. Now, as anyone goes through their career, if they do a good job technically, they will rise out of that bottom level position and they go up a level, maybe to supervisor. They do a great job there. A couple of years later, they go to manager. Do a great job there. You go up through your career journey, general manager, C-suite. But what is happening on this journey is that a huge number of people are getting into what we call a bit of a valley of despair in their career. They're stalled. As I said, they lack influence. The company doesn't get the results they wanted from this individual any longer. And it's painful for them because I suspect in their heart, they know they can be doing a better job, but they can't really admit it in an open forum. They're really, really worried about getting better. And perhaps even their hopes and dreams are being dashed. So what do we really need to consider? Let me just talk about the 2 big things that will make an enormous difference for your technical leaders in helping them shift to these strategic roles. A strategic level role, just by definition, is now you start to work on the business. You're no longer working on individual jobs. You're working on stuff or projects that has long time spans, 6 months, 1 year, 2-year projects in business improvement programs. They have complex system design, organic system design. They have to develop process and system that has the people element in it. That's what makes it so complex. Because us as human beings, we're very, very complex. Each and every one of us. So as we get up higher in an organization, not only do we have to do this, but as every level we go up, the number of people we have to be across with our relationships and managing stakeholders grows and grows. Also, we go from having a simple one-to-one relationship with our peers to now a relationship where we have to coach and develop and mentor people. So now we're coaching and developing, mentoring, we're managing stakeholders across the business, we're doing system design, none of which you are taught in your early years of professional development. None of it. So we need, as leaders, to recognize that when we're bringing someone up through the ranks, if they're not performing, it should be entirely predictable as to why they're at that level, why they're not performing. And I want to just talk you through two particular fields of knowledge that will drastically help your leaders. I'm assuming they've got good subject matter expertise. They're good technically, or they wouldn't have got to the level they're at. The challenge now, though, is that technical expertise is not valid in most of the teams they're leading. Because you get to general manager level, and now you're probably leading teams who have a greater technical expertise in their role than you do. You're having to lead now by process rather than content. And what are, therefore, the two most important processes a leader who is in a strategic level role needs to be able to master? Well, we believe that the two most important are personal excellence or executive excellence and leading a high-performance team. The reason you need personal excellence is because every level you go up, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to have a much deeper sense or understanding of your own personal history, your identity, be aware of your biases, your psychology, because that plays out every single day and plays a big role in your ability to maintain flow and be resilient. The more we master, and the more we have to reinvent ourselves at an individual level, the better equipped we are to actually lead, which is the second half. The leadership piece now is the how do I lead my people? So the two frameworks we teach at ChiefMaker, I'm going to talk through them very, very quickly so you understand a little bit about what it takes to develop your people. For those who are watching on YouTube, I'm actually going to share my screen and you can actually look at this framework now in a little bit of detail. This is our professional excellence framework, the I Am Great method. This is about what you or your people need to be able to master at an individual level to have executive mastery. And it starts with these foundational elements. As across the bottom of our model here are three big things: identity, awareness, and my story. This is at the heart of what it means to be a great leader. Do you understand your deep identity? Who you are? What makes you tick? Your personal values? Your purpose in life? Are you connected to that? Are your leaders connected to that? You can simply ask them, right? So we need to get clear on our identity. Second, we need to be aware of our psychology, aware of our personality, perhaps our strengths and our weaknesses, aware of our personal shadow. The more we're aware of how our psychology is playing a role every day, the more we can control it or live with it and grow with it and mature with it. And the third is my story, which is all the things that have happened in your life that have shaped you, evolved you, brought you to where you are now, in whatever level of psychological comfort you're in. That is your story. No one else has that story. No leader, no other person has that very unique and special story. And when you understand identity, awareness, and my story, you actually start to be at a place where you can enter the world with a level of personal strength and resilience and flow, because you operate with a greater sense of personal understanding. So when a leader enters a senior role and they have that great identity, awareness, and my story, they're now set up to do what I wrote the book about, which is the GREAT method: game plan, routines, entourage, assets, and track record. And every level you go up in an organization, you have to redo these bits. Game plan is, hey, your boss is your number one customer. What is your career plan for continuing to make yourself more valuable in the market, right? To stand out and really deliver good value. Do your leaders have that understanding? Then routines are the habits, right? The personal operating rhythm that drive great success for leaders. When a leader goes up a few levels in an organization from a technical to a strategic role, the routines have got to change. Why? Because now they're dealing with more broad, more complex issues, and they've got teams to look after, potentially multiple teams to look after. So they've got to have different operating rhythms for those, and they've got to connect. The entourage, of course, is our linchpin. They've got to look after this broad network of relationships across a business, up in a business, suppliers, customers, mentors, coaches, and the people that report to them, and of course, home. So as a leader, if we get all of our relationships in great shape and we know how to do that and we're taught how to do that, then we're in a much better place to lead in a strategic role. Of course, you subtract that from a leader's arsenal, and any leader in a strategic role that doesn't have a strong entourage, a strong set of relationships, they're in big trouble. They will not be performing and not be getting results. The next is assets. Assets are your skills and technical ability in order to do the current job you're at. As I said before, we might spend 3 to 4 years learning our initial technical role. Now we're in more senior roles, developing more high impact, more high stakes kind of work. But do we really have all the skills in order to do that? Do we need to go and get some serious increases in technical capability? Let's get those assets so you can operate with, or your people can operate with a level of proficiency in their job. And lastly, getting the leaders to build that track record, which gives them a real confidence, because a track record brings all of this together for an individual. And every time they come up from one level to the next in an organization, from professional to supervisor to manager to general manager to C-suite, they've got to rebuild that track record and keep working on it. So, Chief, this is part one of what you've got to teach your leaders. You've got to teach them how to be great at an individual level. And I don't mean like ostentatiously great. I mean deeply, personally have growth and authenticity and quality about them and a real level of professional mastery. And so when you have leaders like that, that are constantly evolving through time, they shift into strategic roles a lot smoother, a lot better. The second piece of second framework you must teach your leaders is what we call the 5 pillars of a high-performance team. And Chief, I don't mind if you use another version of this. Whatever it is, your leaders need to understand a process and a framework and a system for developing a high-performance team. We talk about these 5 key elements: people, mission, culture, tools, execution. People, mission, culture, tools, execution. People is, do they have the ability and the skill, and have you taught them how to get the right person in the right role to develop them one-to-one and help them grow, create the right role statement for them? If they don't, as a leader in a strategic role, they're going to be hamstrung by their people. Do they know how to create the mission, the plan? Sure, they might be able to run a small project, but can they develop a strategy that is cross-functional, that works with their peers, that connects to the company purpose, the company vision? Does their team have some clarity around its vision and goals, steeped in a bigger purpose? That's a really important skill for your leaders to have. If they can't do that, they can't be strategic. The culture. Can they unite a team? Can they build the trust and create that level of accountability, psychological safety, where a team can really thrive and grow and challenge each other in really, really proactive kind of ways? Can they give their team the tools, the hardware, the software, the scoreboards, in order to do their job, the right metrics that are sort of relevant, timely, accurate for the team around them? And lastly, can they execute in an environment that is already complex, organic, and moving? And what I mean by that is, can they manage stakeholders? Can they create that operating rhythm that drives success? Can they manage a risk? Can they course correct over time? And Chief, if you have leaders that can do the people piece, the mission piece, the culture piece, the tools piece, and the execution piece, they're strategic. Particularly if we've already got that individual mastery level first. Chief, we can often assume people can do this. My experience is almost no one can without learning. One of the great pitfalls is that we just throw them in the deep end and assume they're going to go right. And when they fail, go, oh, well, they just went up to it. They hit their glass ceiling. You know what? That's just it's a lot of crap. As leaders, if we're going to demonstrate and we're going to help people lift up to this strategy level, we have to gift them these kind of skills so they can do it. It's not an easy process. It can take years and years of trial and error. And on your part, as you're developing the next future generation of leaders that will come after you, don't forget that is your legacy. That is the one thing you're going to leave behind. So, Chief, they're the two models. If you want to learn more about those models, as you know, we teach them in our programs through the Chief Maker Academy, the mini MBA in leading high performance teams. We teach that high performance model in depth over 12 weeks with a whole bunch of other awesome executives from around the world. And we'd love to have you or your future strategic leaders on that program. And of course, my book is all about the great method and executive excellence, that individual mastery piece, which I just think it's just never taught for some reason, but it's so, so important. Chief, I hope that helps you understand just a couple of big things, core things, Chief, that will make a big difference in helping your leaders prepare for those senior roles. As always, remember, Chief, to just deal hope. And Chief, all the show notes, all the resources, and those two frameworks you can find at chiefmaker.com/335.
Or check it out on YouTube. Just head to the Chief Maker channel, chiefmaker.com/YouTube. Now, Chief, do you find yourself at work in one of those incredibly stressful moments where you've got someone on your team that either isn't performing or is behaving poorly, and you know deep down that it needs a difficult conversation? One of those ones that can keep you up at night. You know, if you get wrong, there's going to be HR issues, but you know, if you get right, it could actually be a little bit career defining, and it will make life so much better for so many people, but you just keep putting it off and off and off. Well, Chief, we've created the ultimate resource for you. It is called Difficult Conversations. Download. It's not hard, but what's in it is what's most powerful. The mindsets, the frameworks, and even some of the scripts, the words to use to make those conversations much more easy. Just go to chiefmaker.com/difficult and you could download the full resource right there. And if you'd like to stay in touch with Chief Maker, just go to chiefmaker.com/subscribe. Now, Chief, if you're yet to rate the episode and subscribe, I hope you'll do so soon. It helps others see the magnificent value that the chiefs and gurus on the show bring to their life and career. So make sure you hit subscribe on your podcast app now, give it a 5-star rating if you think it's worthy, and leave a short review about your favourite episode. Righto, Chief, as always, remember to stay epic.